I don't know if you've ever overpacked a North Face bag. You put one extra pair of socks that just has that is not going to fit, and you push it in anyway. The seams start to bust out. So if you get locked in a bag and you're still alive, you kick the wrong way, you're out of the bag. You're fine. Walking on sunshine. But he was dead before he went in. Otherwise, he would have kicked his way out. Those bags are not as strong as people think they are. Maybe he got a little too cozy with some of these birds.
Only explanation I have in where a Fiat Uno could keep up with a Mercedes S280, okay?
It's not that I wouldn't fight Mothman. I would beat the shit out of him.
We're seasoned.
So wait, you mean to tell me they have a festival commemorating the day a man got his shit rocked by an extraterrestrial carrot?
My neighbors across the street, they are not real.
But a pyramid is the most boring shape.
Part Sasquatch, part trickster midget.
Welcome to the Conspiracy Kitchen.
What's going on, guys? Thank you for joining us in the Conspiracy Kitchen, where we attempt to find the secret ingredients behind life's daily mysteries. I'm Joe, and I'm accompanied by my sous chef, Josh, aka the Cryptid Killer.
Hi, kids.
And today, I think we're going to serve up the spy in the bag. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, another true crime. I like it.
Yeah, another unsolved mystery. Happened just recently, and happened over there in the UK. So for our UK listeners, it's probably something that you guys have really heard about. For us Americans, I guess it might be less. So for the American listeners, probably something new. I guess we'll start out with the mood setting scene, I guess. We're in London, about a half mile from MI6 headquarters. It's kind of close, right? An upscale flat, for whatever reason. I'm gonna say this. England, why do you call them flats? The UK, why do you call them flats? They're obviously not flat. They're apartments, right? They're compartment rooms. They're apartments. But anyway, an upscale flat in central London, August 2010. Police are called in to check on a man who hasn't been seen in days, and they kind of find a shitty situation here. A naked body decomposing in the summer heat, locked inside a red North Face sports bag, padlocked from the outside between the two zippers, I guess, sitting in the bathtub. Now, the keys to this padlock are inside the bag, under the body. Kind of nasty. The guy in the bag, a Gareth Williams, brilliant mathematician. And he's kind of, I guess what you would say, sent to MI6 to be an operative for a little while, how would you call it?
He's a code breaker.
Code breaker, but he was he works for GCHQ. And then I guess he was contracted, I guess would be the word, to MI6. I guess that's how we'd word it.
Yeah.
So Gareth Williams, a gifted mathematician from Wales. He spoke Welsh. I'm not sure what the big difference is in the language. I really don't know much about Welsh, but he spoke Welsh as his first language. He graduated with a first-class degree from Bangor University at 17 years old. He then earned a PhD from the University of Manchester after dropping out of a postgraduate course at Cambridge. He joined GCHQ in 2001. We worked for about 8 years, and then in 2009, he was, contracted or seconded or whatever you want to call it to MI6 in London for what they would call, quote-unquote, active operational work. However, he was due to return back to GCHQ in September 2010, a month after, because apparently he didn't like the MI6's competitive culture. That's what he said. That seems like a weird kind of excuse to me. Anyway, I mean, it just seems weird, right? I don't like London's rat race and MI6's competitive culture, was what he actually said, is quote unquote. he was described as being very private, a very private person. And he preferred living in the countryside than the city life. So I can maybe that's why too, on top of it. So the work he did, it involved sensitive intelligence operations. He assisted the U.S. national security agencies in tracing international money laundering, specifically Moscow-based mafia cells for this money laundering. He also provided tech support for MI6 field operation targeting hostile nations' embassies in London. So I guess he's got a little bit going on. He does have some access to some probably classified information that not many people would be able to see. So then going back to the crime scene here. So it was August 23rd, 2010. About not very long, maybe up to a month before he's supposed to leave MI6. He's found in this flat, which just so happens to be government provided. So right then and there, you would think the government probably has keys to this place, right? Do you think they have access to it?
If anyone has access besides him, it would be the ones who gave him the apartment. Yeah.
That's what I would think. So it could be why there is no forced entry, but we can get into that. So after a while, colleagues said they haven't been able to contact him for several days. I guess they're trying to text him, call him. So eventually, which Josh, I believe, has some more information on this, but eventually it prompted the police to go do a welfare check on the apartment. At around 4:48 p.m. on August 23rd, the police enter the room, discover Williams in the master bathroom, off the master bedroom, in this North Face Holdall, in the bathtub. So, yeah, he was naked. His body was decomposed due to being in the bag for about a week in the August heat. And on top of that, the heat was turned all the way up. I don't know who would have the heat on in August. So, something that makes me think that this was not just an accident on top of it. And then I guess when you're zipped up in that bag, decomposition probably happens pretty fast too. If your body starts to break down and the gases don't really have anywhere to go, that bag probably did get pretty hot on top of it. Like I said before, the apartment showed no signs of forced entry. There was no struggle, no disturbances. All the windows were locked. The front door was secure. They did a post-mortem examination at Westminster Mortuary. They found no obvious causes of death. They kind of believe it was probably due to suffocation, being in that bag. Pathologist Richard Shepard noted that Williams was likely alive when he entered the bag, as arranging his corpse in this position would have been difficult, according to him. Another pathologist estimated that Williams had probably succumbed to elevated levels of carbon dioxide within 2 to 3 minutes of being inside the bag. They then do a toxicology. No traces of alcohol, no recreational drugs, and no poison are found in his body. Going back to the crime scene, looking for DNA, looking for fingerprints. Nope. No DNA fragment. Actually, I should say this. There are some fragments of DNA from at least 2 other people found on the bag, but nothing full enough to get like a profile to go compare it to anything. No fingerprints were found on the padlock, the bag, and no gloves were present there, nothing like that. The apartment, which is kind of something a little weird, which we're going to get into in a little bit, also contained about 25,000 pounds, which I guess would be $30,000 worth of high-end women's clothing, a wig, some makeup, which kind of raised questions about his personal life. Police also noted, which again, I think this is kind of bullshit. Police noted that he had visited bondage websites, spending 30 minutes to an hour on them occasionally, though they found no obsession of bondage or other pornography with him, like doing stuff. Now, like I was saying before we started recording, I was talking to Josh about this. I think MI6 could just kind of plant this information. Couldn't they just kind of say he was on these websites and show that doing something with his computer or whatever, just make it so it seemed like he was on these websites for that long?
Well, yeah. I mean, who's going to question it? If your government's telling you, like, yeah, this is what we found, and they could spread it to multiple news outlets, people are going to believe that shit. Exactly.
So I think that was another planted thing. I I think this had nothing to do with it. All of this could have been planted in there. I mean, his body was a week minimum before they even found it. Shit could have been going on in and out of this, for all we know. And then 2021, so 11 years later, Scotland Yard, which we know they're so reliable from when we did our Princess Diana podcast, right? Oof. Conducted new forensic tests on the items, like a green towel they found, the Holdall itself, the zipper on it, the padlock and everything. And they said, again, no new DNA, no fingerprints were found. And they reinforced the police's conclusion that Williams likely died alone. Now, I'm going to debunk this right off the bat. I'm done with the dying alone, right? This theory is debunked, and I'll tell you why. How does he lock the padlock from the outside in the bag and have the keys in there? How do you lock that padlock from the outside? They had 400 specialists try to recreate this, and none of them could do this. They could not lock themselves in this bag. I don't care who you are. There is no way you are closing all those zippers up and locking a padlock from the outside while you're in the bag.
I don't think he was alive when he went in the bag.
Yeah, you that's where you stray from me. You think he was already dead.
Well, all right. You know what? Hold on. It's rant time.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever overpacked a North Face bag. You put one extra pair of socks that just is not going to fit, and you push it in anyway, the seams start to bust out. So if you get locked in a bag and you're still alive, you kick the wrong way, you're out of the bag. You're fine. Walking on sunshine. But he was dead before he went in. Otherwise, he would have kicked his way out. Those bags are not as strong as people think they are.
You think so?
I know so. I've broken many a North Face bag.
Okay. All right. So so right now we have in our midst a North Face expert. So Josh has done this test, and apparently he's ripped these bags apart.
Yes. I'm not only the cryptid killer, but the North Face bag killer.
So later on in the episode, when I come to my off-the-wall theory, I will explain why I think he was still alive, but also did not fight to get out of the bag. We'll talk about that in a little bit, right? So, again, yeah, he did not act alone. They're trying to say that the lack of fingerprints, DNA on the bag padlock, showed that he was acting alone in some kind of weird sexual fantasy. I just don't think you can lock yourself in there with the keys. Just me.
No,
that's just me.
I see what they're going for, because like you could kind of feel through the material and lock something, but I don't know. There was no space for that. You know what I mean? Like the bag was too restricted for him to be able to do that. So it was definitely a second person doing it. And then you could easily just wipe prints off. I mean, it's not hard.
Yeah, it's true. So I'll bring this up real fast so we can debunk it. This other woman. So 3 years before this, Williams had a landlady in Cheltenham who found him tied to his bedpost, shouting for help. He claimed to her, this is what she's saying, he was testing to see if he could escape, and the couple cut him free, interpreting it as a sexual thing rather than an escapology. And this incident kind of fueled the speculation about Williams' interest in bondage or autoerotic activities. I think she's a fucking plant. I think this is bullshit. I don't think some landlady's just going to randomly find him screaming for help if he tied himself up to his bedposts, right?
No. I don't know. Would you? I'd be too embarrassed to scream for help. I would just die there.
I would wait for... Yeah, I wouldn't be screaming for help. You got it. I'd find a way to get the fuck out of there. Especially if you're just tied to your bedpost. You're not going to die instantly. I'm finding a way out of there. They're also trying to say that the presence of all these designer women's clothes and the wig in the apartment that he was a cross-dresser or worked undercover as a woman, and he could have been like some kind of sexual fucking bondage thing with other people and died in the bag and they left. Again, I think it has nothing to do with this. To be honest, I honestly think all this shit was planted just to make just to make investigating it harder. I'm throwing it all out the window. I'm pretending like it's not even there.
I agree with that too, because as soon as you start putting in that outlandish shit, that's what everyone's going to focus on.
Yeah.
The crazy bondage portion. Not the fact that he's a code breaker, not the fact that he clearly was into some heavy shit with the government. No, they're going to say this guy's a pervert.
Yep. So, yeah, him working on money laundering and hostile embassies, I think, make him a pretty big target for foreign actors, right? Especially Russia. Russia does some shady shit, right? So let me get down and look at some coroner's verdicts here. So we had a coroner, Dr. Fiona Wilcox. She concluded that Williams' death was unnatural, quote unquote, unnatural and likely to have been criminally meditated. So this kind of means that he was probably killed unlawfully by another person, right? She believes someone else placed the bag in the bathtub and locked it. But there's not enough evidence because of the DNA and all that shit to kind of give a formal unlawful killing verdict to say it was murder. So she couldn't actually stamp murder on it, but she believed it was unnatural and likely to have been criminally meditated. The Metropolitan Police, 2013 and 2024, they say the same thing. They reject all foreign spy involvement. They say his death was likely accidental and he died alone during a solo act involving said bag and himself. However, his family kind of says that they believe the crime scene was cleaned up. They think they freaking got rid of the fingerprints and DNA in the room. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, they were saying that the fact that the heat was turned up all the way was a way of getting rid of DNA.
That could help with that too, yeah. And they think there was like more of a professional cleanup. It wasn't no Joe Schmo fucking bullshit, some random sex party gone wrong. Because all these people inside of that building probably would have left some kind of DNA, and it wouldn't have been cleaned up professionally. This seems like a professional cleanup. If there was a cleanup that happened, this was done professionally, right? No fingerprints, no DNA, just a few fragments that you can't even get a full profile on.
Also, I have a question.
Yes.
People, there's many different fetishes. People are into some weird shit. Who's the asshole that gets off from being in a bag? Like, no one's doing that.
I thought there was something called, there's a word for it. That you get off. I'd have to look it up or whatever. There's apparently something where you get off on being confined and constricted.
I don't get, and I don't mean to kink shame, but if you like being in bags, you're fucking weird to me. I'm sorry.
Anyone out there that likes being inside a bag, let us know. Comment and tell us. Prove Josh. Just let Josh know that there is people out there that would like to be in a bag.
Oh God, if I get canceled by the bag community.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he could.
That's fine.
So, let's see what we got. We got maybe the MI6 covered it up, right? Williams' family alleged, like I just said, that the fingerprints and the DNA were removed from the scene, pointing to a cover-up by MI6. The inconclusive DNA fragments on the bag and the lack of fingerprints on the padlock kind of fuel this theory, right? Could have been even this. Some people believe that maybe MI6 concealed some evidence to protect or avoid embarrassment. Like, they're like, oh, fuck this guy. And they kind of clean up some of the evidence. So maybe there was... So this theory looks at maybe there was some kind of sex party gone awry. They find out they knew about it beforehand, before the other people go, the police go and find them. MI6 finds them first. They're like, oh shit, they find the people. They're a bunch of, bag lovers of some kind. They don't want the embarrassment. They professionally clean the scene and leave the body for the police to find later, and then say it's just some kind of random one-off. He killed himself in a bag.
I could believe it only because of how long it took for them to do their welfare check on him.
Yeah.
Because they didn't. He missed a lot of work, several meetings, several days of work.
Yes.
Nobody batted an eye. No, it wasn't until his sister got in touch with them. It was like, hey, I have not heard from my brother. I need you guys to check on him. And after that frantic phone call that would whip anyone into a frenzy, they still waited 5 hours and then went and checked on him.
You did not check on him right off the rip, huh?
No, they waited. They took their time, and
So could even if say they got the thing to go check on him, and 5 hours later they go check on him. Do you think 5 hours is good enough, long enough for MI6 to clean up some apartment building? Probably, right?
Absolutely. They could probably do it in like an hour.
Yeah, they go in there, they clean up, and then they finally come and check. Oh yeah, nothing. We secured the area. We know nothing in and out. This is all clean. Everything's good. They could have left the window unlocked, and then MI6 could have locked that window to protect someone else, which I'll get into at the end of the podcast. So yeah, I mean, I think it's possible that MI6 could have been involved with a lot of stuff on here to clean up on the cleanup side to avoid embarrassment, like you were saying. The accidental death, though, with him by himself, like, is probably the most unbelievable one for me. The most one that you could accidentally debunk, like I just said before, right? The stupid landlady saying she visited him. Like I was saying, that experts testified that it was virtually impossible. They tried 400 times to lock themselves in a bag, and they couldn't do it. And then, let alone, even if you got in the bag and managed to lock it, you would leave your fingerprints on that padlock, I would believe. So no fingerprints, and his body not having gloves on him. It's not like he had gloves on inside the bag. Make me believe that it's just impossible for it to be Solo, which they keep trying to freaking say. The police keep trying to say that it was Solo. That was their freaking outcome for this.
They stuck to that for a very long time. And then after a while, people started questioning him. Even the coroner's like, "You're stupid. Like, he didn't do this to himself. Like, the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah, but the clothes and the wig and think it was either planted or maybe he was undercover as a woman. But I don't think it had anything to do with some weird kink.
No,
to me, anyway.
He was technically a spy, I guess.
Yeah.
And he had, not to put anyone down, but he had a feminine look about him. So he easily could have been like undercover as a woman.
As a woman.
Yeah.
I don't think it led to him just killing himself by fucking a bag.
No.
But that's just me. I don't see that happening. And then they had like one, an acquaintance could have locked him in the bag, or when they're doing it and he got scared and left. But like he was saying, he was private in nature. They said he lacked close relationships with anyone, in London especially, which kind of made it pretty much not possible, if you will. So I don't think it was some colleague or acquaintance either. MI6 is a big one, but I don't know. I'm feeling Russia, maybe, right?
Well, all right. So there's a whole backstory with him and Russia.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's a lot
Let's
of...
get into it. What we got?
So he, like you said before, he was keeping an eye on the Russians. A lot of Russian mafia stuff. There was one gentleman, a former KGB member, Boris Karpichkov, who told, the Daily Mirror, one of the news sources, that he had discovered a Russian mole inside, British intelligence. So the Russians were trying to get Williams to become a double agent in turn, but they were trying to blackmail him by saying like, "Oh, we know you have women's clothes," which I don't know why. Who cares? But
Yeah.
they were trying to get him to, become a double agent, and then he was like, "Well, I know that we have a mole in the fucking British intelligence." So then the whole thing is he thinks that the Russians killed him, and it was like a whole thing. And
So yeah, Russia does hold that. Russian theory holds a lot of water to me too. I mean, first of all, I mean this is sensitive work, right? He's tracking money laundering routes for Moscow-based organized crime groups. This would put him in the crosshairs, right, for a lot of powerful people in Russia. No, I would think so. I mean, he's doing it for, he's helping the U.S. with this, the NSA, to track the financial flows that could fund criminal or terrorist activities from this money. You're not just gonna. I feel like if someone finds out who it is, they're not just gonna let him be. Yeah, whatever. Let him keep doing it. I mean, he provided technical support for field operations targeting hostile nations' embassies, which, I mean, Russia and the UK did not have the greatest of relationships in the 2010s. So I'm assuming Russia's was one of them. And Russia isn't afraid to do anything. I mean, in 2006, right, they poisoned Alexander Litvinenko in London with they poisoned the guy literally in London without, they killed him. So this, I mean, it kind of started the strained relationship between the two, but it's not like they're not afraid to go in and do it. Somehow they got caught with the poisoning, but this one they learned from their mistakes, right? That was 4 years before. So now you have, the clean crime scene. The family even strongly believes his death was linked to intelligent work because of how the crime scene was done. The coroner, Dr. Fiona Wilcox, said that his death was unnatural and likely criminally meditated. She thinks someone else was involved. No DNA, no fingerprints, clean crime scene. Like, there's no tampering in this building, no evidence of struggle, no evidence of anything.
Well, also,
Russia.
sorry.
Yes. No, go ahead.
Karpichkov lived in the same area of London that Williams did, like the same neighborhood. He lived there, and he claimed that he would see Russian diplomatic vehicles in the neighborhood, which is very random for that part of London. And then right after Williams died, he never saw those cars again.
See? Yeah. They were there following him around, I guess, tracking him, seeing what he was doing. I guess maybe checking to see if he actually was him or they were getting the right person. Because I guess they didn't, you might still have to get as much information you can to find the exact person doing it. And now you're going to say that they're, this guy, they're following him with diplomatic Russian vehicles. I guess Russian spies are in the area, and then they're gone.
But here's my thing. If you're trying to spy on somebody and you're not from that country, why would you be in the diplomatic car of Russia? You might as well roll around in a tank. Like, he knows you're there. Stupid.
I mean, there's even reports from, like, The Sun, the newspaper journal. They mentioned Russian agents being spotted in London around the time of Williams' death. I mean, were they actually in diplomatic vehicles? Maybe, maybe not. But I mean, there's multiple sources that claimed they've seen Russian agents in the area at the time. Russia's a big player in this. As much as the freaking police and Scotland Yard, yeah, they don't know what the fuck they're doing, try to deny it. I think Russia's a big agent in this.
Especially the Russian mob, because when it goes to, like, different mafia families, whatever, Russia's got one of the biggest. Like, they're fucking everywhere. Like here in the States, you got them in England, you got them
Yeah.
fucking China sometimes. Like they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And if you start to fuck with their money, you end up in a
Yeah.
bag in a bathtub.
Yeah, exactly. But the Metropolitan Police, Josh, they're going to say that he died accidentally. They say that the presence of bondage on the website and the computer tie him to doing this himself, and they say that a Russian hit to do it like this is unnecessarily complex. They would have just freaking killed him, poisoned him. They would have just whatever. But I think they did this to they don't get caught. They don't want to get caught like they did in 2006. They want to just make it seem like someone died and it was over with. Because I don't want to hear them keep saying it's accidental. His fingerprints would have been on the lock if he locked himself in, which you cannot do in the first place. You cannot lock yourself in there. If Russia did it, I think it was done so that to send a message and let him suffer on the way down. They locked him in the bag, but they gave him the keys. They stuffed him in that bag. They gave him the keys. Like, here, this is your way out. Figure it out. They threw the keys in there. They said you got 3 to 5 minutes of oxygen. Locked that bag, and they took off. Obviously, he didn't get out, and it was probably impossible for him to get out. So that's why I think it was kind of this Russian thing. I think it was kind of like a torture thing. Send him a message about screwing around with them, finding what they're doing with the money, finding where they're sending it and all this. You think he died before he went in the bag, but I think it was more of a torture tactic, and they stuffed him in there with the keys, and that's why I think the keys were in there, because he was still alive, to try to make him panic to try to get out of the bag, and he eventually succumbed to not having enough oxygen.
See, I don't buy that. See, I think the Russians did it, but at the same time, I definitely think he was dead before going in the bag, because even the weakest of people can kick their way out of a North Face bag. But also, everyone's saying, like, you can't stuff a dead body in a bag, blah, blah, blah. All you need is one big motherfucker who's really good at packing suitcases. And just stuffs them in and sits on them and zips it up and padlocks this shit. Oh, I forgot the key in the bag. Oh, well. And then he leaves. So I definitely think he was dead before going in the bag, because I don't know. He would have kicked his way out. You would have seen, like, that bag. I've seen the crime scene pictures. That bag was just placed so gingerly in the center of the bathtub. If there was any kind of struggle, that thing would have been, like, flopped all over the place.
So you think how'd they kill him, though? How do you think they killed him?
So I did read that they did used to use, I don't know if they probably still do, but there's a kind of poison that they put in your ear. And that,
In the ear.
yeah, it like goes in the ear, and it's apparently very fast acting and kills you. But
Okay.
I think it was that, and it would have been something new because the coroner said they couldn't detect anything. But maybe it was something that heat would,
That's what I was wondering. I was about to say. So do you think it was something that they had, and that's why the heat was turned up, that went into his body, and then just the heat kind of, made it come out of his body during natural breakdown, decomposition of the body, and after a week, it was no longer detectable, or wasn't big enough of it in his body to have trace amounts still left in there. You think it kind of pushed it out?
Absolutely.
So you really think it was the Russians killing him, stuffing him in the bag afterwards? Why would they put the keys in there with him, though?
Maybe it was like a add insult to injury kind of thing.
Okay.
Like you lock someone up with their only means of escape, and they can't get to the lock. I don't know. It's a sick world.
Yeah, that's why I was saying he was alive. That's why the keys are in there. You lock him up. Hey, you got to get out. There's your way out. But you can't do it.
Nah, I don't buy it. The bag would have been flopped all over the place. It was very neatly placed.
I guess. I think the keys were in there because he was alive. They threw him in there. One, like I was saying before, torture. But two, it could have been so if someone else just happened to stumble upon it while he was still alive, whether it be banging around, they come in the house or the room, they can't find the keys, and he's in the bag, and he still dies because they can't get to the keys because they're inside. But then I guess you just cut the lock. But maybe you don't have time for that. The keys would have been the fastest route.
Or here's another theory.
Yes.
The Russians put him in the bag. They force him in there. He's still alive. And they say, here's the keys. It's your only way out. Then they lock it and they leave. And he yells, joke's on you. This is my fetish. And he just stays in the bag and dies. Too soon?
You think? No, it was fucking 15 years ago.
Oh.
Now, do you think MI6 was also involved? Like, do you think MI6 knew anything about this and they just said fuck it, or do you think they don't know a shit?
They had to have known. I mean, it's intelligence in their own neighborhood. They have to have known.
They knew Russia did it, but they don't want to say anything because
It was their own safe house.
it's their own place. They don't want to look weak, right? So now you have the Russians killed a guy in your own freaking building without a trace, and left without a trace. MI6 doesn't want to look like a bunch of freaking Neanderthals, dumbasses, right? So they just say, "Oh, they plan even more shit to make it look even worse because they don't want." If the worst thing MI6 could be found out for MI6 is that Russia did it right under their freaking nose and they did nothing about it, right? So now they plan all the bondage websites on his computer. They plant the freaking clothes and the wig if he didn't actually use it for undercover work. And they spin some nonsense story about he was into bondage, right? Because they fucking went in there and found out before the police got there, Russia did this. Fuck. Right in our own building, too. Right.
They didn't want to be shown up in their own neighborhood. But also, MI6 has, I don't know if it's them, I'll say that, but like in that neighborhood, there's a bit of a pattern of people, important people, being found dead from sexual means, like Stephen Milligan, who's a journalist and former member of parliament. They found him with an electrical cord around his neck from autoerotic asphyxiation. Just coincidentally, he was also into some kinky shit. Or the government likes to cover things up in weird ways. Just saying.
I'm not. I think. That's a huge possibility. I really do think, and MI6, obviously, like you're saying, they don't want to just cover it up because they don't want to look like assholes. But do you have any other theories here?
I did read another one.
Yes.
According
this
to
this is our favorite one, right? So far, Russia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. I did read that the landlady ran into a couple, a Mediterranean couple, her description, not mine, who had a key to his flat, which is very odd. Flat. Apartment. Fuck you. Had a key to his apartment and claimed they were visiting a friend named Pier Paolo, who the landlady had never heard of. And according to her, she saw the couple go upstairs and then she never saw them again. Okay. Where did they go? So
they were aliens.
Okay, let's get into that then.
So you're talking about this couple that came, they disappeared, they have no idea, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What about this? Forget Russia. MI6 covering shit up. What if he was locked in this North Face bag by those two alien operatives? And they were kind of using this to blackmail MI6 over them trying to figure out extraterrestrial technology. Williams being a decoder, right? We said this. Right? Mm-hmm. I don't think he was just tracking Moscow mob money. Whatever you want to call it. He was decoding alien signals that were embedded in those transactions. And I don't think the Greys like that. You follow me so far?
Yeah.
I know it's a little, but look at the crime scene. He's in this red Holdall padlocked from the outside with the keys inside, right? No fingerprints, no DNA, no struggle. This might be too clean. Maybe even for MI6 to clean up. This might have been an alien cleanup crew that took care of this. Or, well, first of all, do aliens leave fingerprints?
They don't have fingerprints? They're very smooth.
I think they're smooth fingered. If there was DNA, can we even determine, like, could the simpletons in England see what alien DNA looks like?
Can I just point out that smooth fingered? It's not, but it sounds very offensive. Like, you smooth fingered fuck. Like,
it does sound pretty offensive.
yeah.
So let's get this. So no fingerprints because they don't have fingerprints on their stubs, their little fingers. They stuffed the bag in the bathtub. Now the bathtubs are usually made of some kind of, they're like iron, and they're pretty underneath that porcelain. There's iron, especially if it's older. This is containing any. I think they put them in there instead of just on the floor or something to contain like a cosmic residue of radiation, so it wasn't detected. Right? You don't want to detect the radiation through the building. This guy's a mathematician. He's working on signals intelligence. If he stumbles like across some kind of encrypted alien messages hidden in this mafia money transfers, and then they use NSA and MI6 to like kind of crack this extraterrestrial like code, the aliens are gonna get pissed off. They're just gonna not fucking like this. So what do? They fucking kill him, right? The aliens go in there themselves. The Mediterranean couple you saw. They go in there, they kill the guy because they don't want them to find out where their alien financial footprints are. In Russia, Siberia, right? Very cold, desolate area. They're funding secret UFO bases under there in Siberia, I think. That's where Dyatlov Pass. Remember, there's a lot of UFO sightings in that area.
Oh, it's a callback. I see.
It's a callback to this. So Siberia, we have secret UFO bases under the ground there. Aliens are funneling money with the help of aliens that are inside Russia's the mob, or in Moscow, helping funnel money around. He's getting close because now all of a sudden he's like freaking genius boy, right? The way he graduated and all this stuff he can do, and the mathematician and everything. Might be almost as smart as some of these aliens, and he's able to kind of crack this code. And they don't want it. They just kind of silenced him. And then they turn around and they show MI6 this guy stuffed in a bag, kind of blackmail him, like, don't do this. We got this guy. We killed him. Let's stop trying to look into this any farther. You don't want any more people dying, do you? And that's what I think happened. And then they frame it with this crap, these clothes, the wigs, the freaking all this other crap is just a frame. And on top of that, around this time period, from what I've seen, I did some research on this, there was a huge spike in UFO sightings in the UK towards the end of 2010. Look it up if you want. I'm just letting you know.
Was there really?
Yes, look it up. I'm not just coming in here with the nonsense. All right. The aliens planted the crap in here to discredit him. They're smarter than us. They don't want him to cracking codes of the money funneling that they're doing through all this other crap, because they have alien plants inside other agencies, and they're funneling money in different directions to help make these underground UFO bases that are already in Siberia. I think they're in the ocean, where the aliens are living under the waters. This is what it was. The aliens were down there, and they freaking shit on him. E.T. came down with his little finger and stuffed him in that bag and locked it. And he might have got in that bag because aliens can do some kind of mind control. The little grays have mind control. They might have told him just to get in the bag, and that motherfucker just got in the bag.
I I'm having trouble
Yes.
believing an alien that works with the Russians wanted to frame him by looking up bondage websites on his computer. Now,
They're, well, he doesn't. They don't necessarily work with the Russians. I think aliens have infiltrated certain intelligence agencies, and they work separately. Like does Russia themselves kind of know about it? No, but I think Russian has aliens in there that kind of, do their own thing. So the money laundering, and then somehow they can split the money off, and it sends it other places, and they can kind of fund this underground alien civilization.
I 1000% see where you're going and coming from with this. Um, yeah, no, well,
So it was the Russians, is what you're trying to say.
I think it was the Russians.
You don't think it was aliens?
Uh,
I like aliens. I always try to bring up an alien thing, and I think we've gotten too. We haven't dug into the off the wall kind of theories yet in a little while. Like we had the aliens did Princess, kind of abducted Princess Diana's unborn child. That was kind of off the wall,
well,
and
that
we
one
kind of
was
got away from
true.
it. It's true. Yes, it's true. But we kind of got away from those. We kind of got away from setting what had actually happened and kind of going with why we think a more of a mainstream theory was the reason. But it could be aliens.
It could be. It's not. It's not impossible.
Never is impossible.
It's never impossible, but yeah, I don't know. What bondage sites would an alien use? I can't think of an alien going to Pornhub.
Uh, I don't know. They know a lot more than us, Josh. They use mind control. Maybe they read his mind and just knew what kind of websites were for that. Maybe he did have a little kink and they just over flooded it and really made it so that it would look as if it was an accident.
Get pissed off because there's pop-ups. Anyway,
Or maybe he just stole someone's Ovaltine. Because if you steal that Ovaltine, maybe you get stuffed in the bag and like the same thing could happen. If you get close to cracking some alien code, if you get close to solving, doing something that could be detrimental to the Russian mob or something with the Russian government, or stealing someone's Ovaltine, kind of seemed like it could be around the same amount of retaliation.
I feel like if he was on Ovaltine at the time, he would have kicked his way out of that bag a lot quicker.
But he stole it. He never had the chance because they failed to mention in the crime scene report that there was a nice tall cold glass of Ovaltine. Well, now it was hot as shit. It was basically hot chocolate sitting on the counter, undrinking.
Which you could still enjoy it hot. Just
Which you
saying.
could still enjoy it hot. Yes, so it still would have been fine, but it wasn't cold. I prefer it cold.
Yeah. So, who else do we think could have been responsible?
There is one more person I was kind of looking into. I'm going with the alien thing, but there's still one person I was looking into and have some kind of could be like some kind of draws me towards him. He goes by the name like it's kind of a S Hammers. It's like a I don't know code name or whatever. And the reason I think this, well, one, he has access to mobile elevated work platforms, so boom lifts, scissor lifts, and such. I've looked into and he specializes in working on like spider lifts. So if you don't know what a spider lift is, usually they have tracks, they crawl around, but you can't really do much while they're on. So they have these long outriggers that look like spider legs, and they come down and pick the machine up, level it out, and hold it up. And then you can get in the basket, and they go from anywhere from like a 40 footer up to like 100 and some feet. They are usually, or more times than not, never really are they just gas-driven engines or diesel-driven engines, they are usually lithium-ion powered. With some of them do have a gas generator backup, but they're lithium-ion. So what does that mean? They are virtually silent. You don't really hear them much. This guy, from what I've seen, does drive around for his work, so he would know the area. He lives in the country. He knows the area. He knows when traffic flow. He knows when traffic's high, low, just by driving. So say he goes up at night. He's got this, spider lift. He brings it over. He has access to him. He sits it up just outside, down an alleyway or something, because they're meant for tight spots and stuff. And he goes up to the guy's window. Case reports say the window was locked, but maybe it wasn't quite locked, or MI6 was kind of going and they locked the window themselves because they're cleaning up. He gets in through the window. This also happened around the same time, I should mention, as his birthday's around this time. What happens if he knew this guy, Josh? Do you think he knew this guy?
It's very possible.
It's possible he knew this guy in 2010. All right, maybe they invited him over for a birthday. He doesn't want to be seen going in his house. He goes up there. The guy has freaking a bag and these women's wigs and clothes and stuff. And this is when Hammers himself does not want to deal with this anymore, right? You think this kind of pushes Hammers away, right? He's like, this isn't the birthday party I was looking for, right? No?
No.
He stuffs him in the bag. You think he stuffs him in the bag to get away?
I don't know if he did that. I think Williams wanted to be his gift, and he's like, how do I gift wrap myself? Oh, look, I'll use a bag. Oh, North Face bag. Let me put myself in here, and then accidentally locked himself in, and then died. And then Hammer showed up looking for a birthday party, but no one was there. Just a bag in a tub that's not moving. So he got mad and left because there's no party for him.
And he leaves out the window on this crawler boom, this spider boom, as the British call it. No trace, right?
Yeah.
He slips down, boom, gone, things quiet. So you don't think he actually killed him? You think he was just there and the guy killed himself now?
I think it was a complete accident that ruined a birthday party.
That's what you think. I think that he kind of got, he was in the bag and Williams or Hammer's like, nah, I'm not into this, dude. You fuck this, yeah, and just tossed him in the tub. Got out the window, hit the ground, never to be seen of again.
I think we solved it.
You think so?
I'm pretty sure. It's the most concrete argument. I don't think it's the Russians anymore. I think it was Hammers.
After we think about this, it says his birthday's in August, like 2-3 days before the discovery. They're saying it was a week, but maybe it was only 3 days. Maybe it was on his birthday, or maybe his birthday fell on a freaking day that was. Let's get the calendar up real quick, right? Let's take a look. One was August 2010. He was found on the 24th. The 21st was on a Saturday. Yeah, could have been possible. Saturday birthday party gone wrong. Guy turns the heat up, leaves. Decomposition puts it at maybe a week, but it was only 3-4 days.
That's what I would do if I showed up to a birthday party and no one was there. I would turn the heat up like an asshole and leave.
Yeah, run the bill up.
Yeah, fuck your house. Sorry, flat. Fuck your flat.
That's another thing that bothers me. They call them flats in the apartments, but then they say, like, we just go first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor, and so on. First floor is just the first floor. It's the first floor you see. They go ground floor, then first floor, which makes no sense because it's technically, you're already up a floor. Like, the first floor you see is ground, and then the second floor is the first floor. Does that make sense?
It's just unnecessary nonsense. It's the first floor you walk on. First floor. Upstairs. Oh, look, here's a second floor for me. There's a second floor. Fuck off with your ground floor.
But at any rate, I mean, we're just saying, S. Hammers is like I was saying, mentioned before, like he's probably one of our top fans. He's always commenting, always sharing our stuff, and we wanted to give him a little, I guess, surprise, if you will.
Give him a little fun nudge. How are you, pal?
Yeah, but he's been great. He's great. He follows us on X. He's always commenting. He comments on Spotify, and I just want to put out there, yes, if you're listening to this for the first time, if you're on Spotify, give us follow, subscribe, whatever. Rate us 5 stars. We have expanded, right, Josh? We are now on YouTube. I believe I mentioned that last podcast. So YouTube will be home for more stuff than just the podcast. But right now, it's just going to be the podcast along with other stuff. Amazon Music, we got the podcast on there, and we are now, as of today, maybe yesterday, on Apple Podcasts. If you have an iPhone or whatever, if it makes it more convenient for you, we got it there. We're trying to kind of expand our, I guess, reach, or just let more people enjoy us more conveniently, if you will, to help you along with, like I was saying before, a lot of people like us on the commutes, right, Josh?
Yeah.
They commute to work, commute home from work. This Hammers, he commutes for work, like kind of similar as me. It's kind of weird. That's another thing that makes me think we're in a simulation from my other episode. This guy's he's basically me, so I don't know what's going on with that. So, except for I obviously don't kill people. So then I don't kill people. So
good to know.
Yeah, Apple Podcast now. Yeah. So we also have a link tree. Put it together so you can put everything in one place. And if you go on our link tree, it's linked from X. I believe it's on Instagram too. Josh, is it on Instagram?
Yes, it is.
It's on Instagram and X. If you're listening to us and you follow us on one of them, you get to the link tree. You have all of our stuff right there at the top. We'll give back, right? We got a little Hulu link there. If you don't listen to Hulu or watch Hulu like I do, I watch Hulu. I think Josh on Hulu
all the time.
That's where we watch The Orville, a lot of stuff. Family Guy. Go to Hulu. Go on that link. Josh and I are going to give you 30 days, right? Right, yeah. Josh? 30 days free.
Follow the link. 30 days free just for you.
And sit down, watch The Orville, grab a cold glass Ovaltine. You'll enjoy it. I promise you that.
I love The Orville. I think I'm going to restart from season 1.
I honestly want season 4 to be now. And it just takes so long for them to write a season because of all the CGI. And then we have Commander Grayson's whole issue where she doesn't think she's going to come back. So I know they're going to solve that. But yeah, it's a great show.
But yes, 30 days free on us. Go for it.
And we'll appreciate you doing so. And we appreciate you listening. So until maybe the end of this week, we'll see you later.
Bye, kids.